Hey, what's up? This is Cody the Coin Raptor coming at you with another fantastic crypto video. And in today's video, we're going to be talking about what's been going on with the strength of the dollar and what's been going on with Bitcoin and how the two are going to be related. So, the dollar has taken a huge hit in the past couple of weeks. I want to go ahead and talk about that. And I want to go ahead and talk about increasing profitability for Bitcoin as well on some new liquidation levels. Okay, before we get to that, be sure to hit that subscribe button. Be sure to like, be sure to comment, and share the video. Bitcoin has been fairly boring over the last 24 hours, barely even up 0.22% or so. And quite frankly, the market has been kind of asleep. But the biggest story, I think, right now has been the dollar. Okay, so the dollar, we have up here the dollar index, or the DXY. It measures the strength of the dollar versus a basket full of currencies such as the euro and the Japanese yen. Okay, and the dollar index has been getting pummeled, just absolutely pummeled. We've talked about the dollar index quite a few times in this channel because it is incredibly important to understand the relationship between the dollar and an asset like Bitcoin. Okay, so Bitcoin and the dollar tend to trade inversely. In fact, if I go up here and I put in Bitcoin, okay, and I overlap the Bitcoin price with the dollar, you can see the inverse relationship here where the dollar, when it falls, Bitcoin tends to rise. And then when Bitcoin falls, it's usually because the dollar has been on an absolute tear. Now, we saw this phenomenon back in July where Bitcoin started at was about 30,000 and continued all the way down to the $26,000 level. Now, the dollar index right now has actually proven to be a fairly reliable indicator of strength right now for Bitcoin. In fact, what we can see here is the fact that when the dollar topped out, that is basically when Bitcoin went on its huge tear through October. We can see that the strength of Bitcoin basically came at the expense of the dollar. And right now, the dollar is not in good shape. The strength of the dollar has been falling. We're seeing the support level at 103. And if you guys have been following me on Twitter, I've been talking about the dollar going down to this level here. And this is a key support for the dollar. All right. If we go ahead and we look back all the way for the entirety of 2023, we can see the dollar has actually used this point many, many times. It's contacted this point many times and has used it as support in its recent run up in August. And I think that if Bitcoin, if the dollar falls below this 103 level, we could wind up seeing the dollar come down all the way here to about 102, maybe even 100. That would be quite impressive, okay, if the dollar went down. And I have no doubt that Bitcoin would be a beneficiary as the dollar is weakening. Now, if we take a look at our Bitcoin charts, what we see right now is a Bitcoin that's not really doing much, okay? And that's really not that big of a surprise. If we go ahead and I'm going to go ahead and put up the RSI here, we can see that RSI has been at 57, which is not very high at all, but we have actually started to see Bitcoin find some support here at that 20-day EMA. This is at about 36,700 right now. I do expect that Bitcoin is going to bounce off this level. It did earlier on in the day where we had Bitcoin come all the way down to this level, get bought up, and then pushed back up again to where it is right now at about 37,100. So look for this level to hold, okay? If this 20-day EMA does not hold, it is very possible we'll wind up seeing 35,700 support again. But if it does hold, I do think that we'll make another run at 38K. And I do think, again, it's only a matter of time before Bitcoin breaches that 38K region because, quite frankly, the momentum over the last month and a half has been astounding. And as I said before, when it comes to Bitcoin, it can't just go straight up in a line. It has to move sideways. It has to consolidate. And the longer it spends consolidating, like what we're seeing right now, with it bouncing between 35,700 and 38,000, the longer it spends consolidating, it's like a coiled spring, okay, that can shoot to the upside or potentially even shoot to the downside. So we're going to see some huge volatility from here on out. The more it just trades sideways, okay? And I do think that we're going to wind up getting that breakout of 38K before too long. Now, if we take a look at our futures market, we can see futures market, the traders right now are still very bullish. They're still mostly long, okay? Open interest has been very low, so the number of contracts has still been surprisingly low over the past couple of hours. We haven't seen any major liquidations over the past couple of hours, just some small ones here and there on both shorts and longs. So it really seems like over the trading weekend, over the holiday weekend, we're really not seeing much volume. We're not seeing a lot of traders getting liquidated or jumping into new positions. Right now, they're kind of waiting for the market to kind of play out a little bit and for some momentum, some volatility to finally push the price higher or lower. So right now, traders are kind of just sitting on the sidelines, but they are the ones that have contracts are mostly bullish and long. Now, if we take a look at our liquidation heat map, what we can see here is that we have major liquidity level here at about 37,500. This level right here is the largest amount of liquidity available. So if we do reach that level, we will see some large short liquidations. Now, on the other side, we have the largest level for the long liquidations is going to be about here at about 37,700. It's basically right at that support I showed you guys here at about right here. So below this level, there's some huge, there's some absolutely huge long liquidity. So if we go below this level, we can definitely see Bitcoin head much lower. So look for this support to ultimately hold. And if it doesn't, then Bitcoin is going much lower. Now, I also want to go ahead and talk about what's been going on in the exchanges. So the exchanges, if we take a look at the exchange reserve, the number of Bitcoin in the exchange, we can see that we had kind of a bottoming out here on November 8th. Since then, it's kind of recovered. It's mostly moved sideways, but now we're seeing a resumption of the downtrend here. And so more and more and more Bitcoin is taken off the exchanges. We're at almost $2 million worth of almost 2 million Bitcoin on the exchanges currently. So this is very important to see because looking at the long term, what we can see here is that we've gone all the way from about 2.6 million Bitcoin on the exchanges all the way down to about 2 million or so. So we've had a significant loss of Bitcoin on the exchanges during this kangaroo / bear market. And we're starting to see this resumption of the downtrend, which is what you would expect heading into the halving next year. Now, I also want to go ahead and talk about miners as well and what's been going on with miners' wallets. Now, miners have been mostly emptying their wallets. So ever since Bitcoin hit that high, we can go ahead and look at the price here. As Bitcoin continues to climb, we've actually started to see miners start to sell. So right now, miners have been taking advantage of this opportunity. They've been offloading their coins, and they've been using that money to set up new mining rigs and pay for all their expenses. But right now, we're actually starting to see miners come in and sell their Bitcoin that they've had. So if we look at this year to date, you guys can kind of see we've had a strong downtrend ever since it peaked the miners' reserve here at about October 25th. And we've seen the continued selling of Bitcoin by miners. Now, when we talk about people who have been selling, we can see here that if we put up the SOPR, the spent output profit ratio, that those sellers have been in profit. Okay, so above this dotted line down here, that's a 1. And if it's above the 1, that means they're in profit. And if below the 1, that means they're in loss. So ever since about, say, 18th, 19th of October, anybody who's been selling has been in profit, or most people that have been selling have been in profit, I should say. Okay, because a lot of these people were buying here. If you take a look at the Bitcoin price, they were buying back when Bitcoin was 26,000, 27,000, 30,000, and they've been selling. So over the past month, they've all been selling in profit. Now, again, this is long-term and short-term holders. Okay. Now, the last thing I want to talk about is what's going on this week. All right, so Monday, which was today, we didn't really see much going on. Tuesday, we have the S&P Case-Shiller Home Index prices. That could be very important. We have a number of Fed governors speaking as well. On Wednesday, we have GDP. Okay, this is going to be huge. All right, forecast right now is 5% GDP growth for Q3. That is quite impressive. We're going to see if we actually wind up seeing 5% growth for GDP or not. Now, Thursday, you have the PCE index numbers that come out. Okay, this is the Fed's preferred inflation gauge. Okay, So we can actually see the year-on-year core PCE 3.4%. That was our previous. Now they're expecting it's actually going to go up. The core PCE. If we take a look at the core PCE, that is projected to go down from last quarter. So previously it was 3.7. Now they're expecting the forecast is going to be 3.5. And basically, I'm looking for this to keep heading lower. And if it does, that means the Fed basically has no choice but to stay put or even potentially start cutting sometime next year. Now, December, we have a manufacturing index as well as the Fed Chair Jerome Powell speaking as well on Friday. That's going to be at 11 a.m. And so I expect that there's probably going to be some volatility, some craziness going on in the market during that 11 a.m. time slot, okay? But that's all I've got for you guys today. Let me know what you guys think about the dollar index and the potential fall of the dollar, and if you guys think it's actually going to continue to head lower. This is Cody the Coin Raptor, and I will catch you guys on the next video.